ADAPT Builder 2009 contains several new features, including display options, grouping of objects, tendon modeling, and special lateral load input. In the Select Set View Items tool, there's a new tab called Loads. In this tab, we can control the display of loads by load case, point load, line load, or patch load, and also by the loads that have been input in the model, including dead, live, or any other load case that's been assigned. If I turn off point load and patch load, note that these two loads become gray and inactive. If I turn back on patch load, I can then display either of these loads, or both of them at the same time. The same is true for lateral loads. We can also save any view as the default view and call that up in the model at any time. If I save this as default, say OK, in the main user interface, we can now select this item called Go to Default Display, and this will take us to the set default. Improvements have also been made to the grouping of objects in ADAPT Builder 2009. This can be called up using the group library icon here, or under Settings, you can go to Grouping. In this box, we see that each group is assigned and labeled. For instance, in this model we have one group called Group 1. Note that the group is half off and half on. This means that there are certain objects within the group that have been turned off for display. If I want to display all items within that group, I can say All Groups On, OK, and now in the display we see that all of the different objects assigned to Group 1 are located in the model or displayed. To add a new group, we'll go back to the group library and we'll say New Group. Here we have Group 2. It's also defaulted to show everything on. You can also rename the group by selecting this and renaming each group. If I want to add new components to a group, I can simply add them. For example, this tendon, if I double click on the tendon, in the Properties box, I can select Group 2. Press the green check and exit the Property box. Now, going back to the Grouping Wizard, if I choose to turn off Group 1, say OK, the only item shown will be the one item in the Group 2, which is this tendon. I'll now go back and display all items. Additional features and improvements have been made to tendon modeling in ADAPT Builder 2009. If I select a tendon and I open the property box for the tendon, under stressing, note that I've selected effective force. Under shape system friction, there is now a graphical representation of the tendon in the screen above. This shows the CGS from top fiber, the CGS from bottom fiber, the radius of curvature, the span length, and the uplift for each span. With your mouse, you can click in the graphical interface, and if you use the mouse roller, you can stretch each span. If you left click on the mouse, you can also pan along the span length. If changes are made to any item or CGS in the span, in the tabular input, those will be reflected in the graphical interface. Here we see that we've selected span 1 and it's highlighted above. If I change this to 3 and this to 3, those are both represented in the graph above. If we change the stressing type to calculated force, there are two additional options that will become available in the Shape System Friction tab. Near the bottom of the screen, there's a calculation of friction and elongation, and also the display view. If I select this option, a new graph appears which shows the stress relative to the ultimate stress along the length of the span, or the length of the tendon. We also report the elongation at each end and the jacking ratio. The maximum and average values of stress ratio are also reported. If I want to reset the graphical view, I select this option and I go back to the tendon layout. These changes have been made in Builder 2009 to allow users to more dynamically modify tendons, change tendons, and to more efficiently design post-tension slabs. Improvements have also been made for the input of special lateral loads. In the Loading tab, under Load Case Library, if the user selects special lateral loads, these can be assigned to the model to be in combination with the gravity loads. Each special lateral load should begin with lateral underscore and the name of the load. I'll select OK. To assign lateral loads, you can assign them to an individual column or wall or a group of columns or walls. If I select a group of columns and then press the Generate Lateral Point Loads, we can select any load case that has been assigned as a special lateral case. Here we'll select lateral underscore XX and press Create. We'll enter the lateral load editing mode. In this mode we can assign the load magnitudes. If you double click on a point load, you can then assign any load acting on that particular object. Press the green check mark and exit. Once your loads have been assigned and we exit the lateral load editing mode, the program will report an equilibrium check. If this check is not satisfied, the user should go back and re-enter the loads such that the equilibrium check is within the % error. The display of special lateral loads can be seen in the Select Set View Items under the Loads tab. On the right-hand side, all special lateral loads that are contained within the model will be populated in this box, and the display of those loads can be controlled. This feature has been improved for a more streamlined approach to the inclusion of special lateral loads for combining lateral loads from a lateral load resisting system with gravity loads in ADAPT Builder 2009.